What's up? It's Mr. White. I got 3 topics today to make a 3, 4, 5. Good luck. So the first topic that we're going to give you today that's going to help you dominate the test is the demographic transition model. We want to break it down into its 5 parts. So you need to know what's going on in each stage in a country or an example in one. So in stage 1, you'll notice here, we have a high birth and a high death rate. Reason we have high birth rate is there's no education. Women are seen as things that give birth to other things. They don't have doctors. There's famine. They can't farm. There are no countries here today. So because of a high death and a high birth rate, we have low population growth. In stage 2, a country like in the sub-Saharan Africa or Southeast Asia, like South Sudan exhibits this, we have a massive decline in the death rate due to the mass production of food. Still, we see a high birth rate due to the fact that women aren't educated. They're still seen as second-class citizens and things that give birth to other citizens. In this one, we have explosive high growth. In stage 3, most countries in the world are in stage 3. So if you're trying to guess on this test, stage 3 is a good guess. Brazil exemplifies a great stage 3 country. You have the birth rates are declining. We can see that down here. The boys and girls are getting born at a lower rate. Birth rates are declining because women are now contributing more into society. There's beginnings of healthcare. There's stable farming. There's access to doctors. And we can see that the death rate is starting to level out as well. So with that, we slow in the growth. The growth is slowing. Population is still growing. We can see that down here. In stage 4, a country like Portugal, we now see that it's hit at the end of stage 4 what's called zero population growth. And this is mostly due to the career orientation of people. People want to get their career started versus having a family. So to that fact, there's less children being born. The TFR is under that 2.1 and the population starts to slow and dwindle. And then now what we have is very few countries in the world exhibit stage 5. Stage 5 would be like Japan. It's you can see that there are actually more old people than young people being born. They have negative growth or decay. We can see that here. Their population is dwindling, and it's because there are actually people being born at a lower rate than people dying. So we can see that here. These 5 stages of growth will all dictate to you a few things about a country. Usually it shows its development. So countries in stage 2 and 3 are less developed or developing. Countries in stage 4 and 5 are more developed or developed countries. The next topic we're going to look at is economic activities. This right here, this triangle, this powerful pyramid I've been working on for 4 years. I know you're looking at it, you're like, it's a pyramid, Mr. White. But it will also tell you how developed a country is. So there are basically 3 different types of activities that people will engage in. You have primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary is stuff closest to the earth: farming, mining, fishing, lumbering. So if you engage in that activity, your primary resources. Secondary means you're turning those things into other things. So I always tell my students, you're turning just a raw material into stuff. You're making a log into a table. You're turning iron ore into forks, if you really like forks. And so that's manufacturing. The highest part is tertiary. Tertiary just means a service. And tertiary can be broken up into a few different. So you have just general services, and in America and in developed countries, more people are involved in the tertiary sector. And you also have what's known as quaternary and quinary. And these 2 are very small cross sections of tertiary economic activities. Quaternary deals with logistics and data. So that's how do you move things most efficiently from your factories or from your ports to the consumer. I always think of UPS, Amazon. How do they get stuff moving around at the highest possible rate of efficiency? Logistics and data. Very intelligent people. Research and development. This is very high level people. You're working in labs. You're conducting research in order to make things better. Now, I have an example here because this pyramid's not very powerful. So one of the most powerful things in the world that I exhibit on a weekly basis is IKEA. So let's look at how IKEA works. So the primary resource is the timber reserves. Most things in IKEA are made of wood. They cut down the trees, they ship them to the IKEA mill, and this would be the secondary. They're turning these logs right here into chairs. Ooh, nice. So now we have primary and secondary. Now, how do these logs get to the mill, and how do these chairs get to the store? Well, that would be the tertiary. And tertiary would be the storefront, the shipping, the trucks, which is also shipping, because now a service is being provided. Not technically making anything or doing anything, but they're moving products. They're creating a service, moving the logs, moving the chairs, selling the products. They're definitely not assembling the products, because you all know at IKEA you get to assemble your own products. But how would IKEA get involved with quaternary and quinary? Well, great question, Billy. In the quaternary sector, they would have like these distribution hubs. So people would be working on computer, doing data analysis, maybe some GIS, seeing where do we need to move all of these chairs quickly. The research, right, the quinary would be someone working in lab developing stronger glues, more ergonomic products, studying the spine to make sure that their chairs fit that curvature well, just a lot of things. So we can see all economic activities at IKEA. This is not a paid sponsorship by IKEA, but come holler at me, IKEA. My room could get a makeover. The last thing we're going to look at is Rostow's modernization model. So my boy Rostow down here came up with this model to see how developed a country is. So if you look at some of its activities, you'll notice the development level. So you'll see there's 5 stages in this development ladder, or the ladder development here. And I'd say it basically follows these 3 F's, because I like the number 3. Farming, factories, and fuses. We'll talk more about fuses in a second. So a stage 1 country would be in the periphery. It'd actually be below the periphery. This is like in the demographic transition model. It doesn't exist. This is 100% agriculture, right? There are some stage 1 traditional societies, but not that many. 100% agriculture, resistance to change, resistance to technological advancement, farming at a very low rate, intensive agriculture, backbreaking work. Stage 2 is when all of a sudden some technology is applied, and food stores can be created to allow other people to specialize into your society. This is known as preconditions to take off. So now we're kind of moving out of farming, and the more machinery is getting worked. So now we're going to work in a factory. Stage 3 is very important. This is takeoff. This is when industrialization occurs. People start moving to cities. They're moving from rural to urban, and you have full industrialization. So this is the second F, factories. After stage 3, you have when people become more engaged in technology. So you have this drive to maturity. People are starting to work with computers. They're starting to specialize. They're starting to engage in trade, and that's a drive to maturity. This would be the fuses. So think the electronics, the fuses. I don't know. I was trying to think of an F word that means computers. There's not that many. The last stage is what the core countries are in. So this would be high mass consumption. So people are working in the tech. Most people are in tertiary jobs, high goods, high incomes. And so you have like your core countries are in high mass consumption. Your semi-periphery would be in the stage 3. They're taking off, they're industrializing. And then your stage 2 countries would be somewhere in between traditional and preconditions to take off. Last thing I want to show you is this map here that really illustrates these last 3 points. So the demographic transition model, we have modernization model, and we also had economic activities. All the countries that have high human development index, they're going to be in stage 4 and 5 of the demographic transition model. They're going to be in the tertiary sectors. They're going to be in stage 4 and 5 of Rostow's model. These countries in the middle, right, those are going to be the semi-peripheral countries. They're going to be in the takeoff stages. A lot of industry here. They're going to be in stage 3 of the demographic transition model. And the ones that are below that in sub-Saharan Africa, parts of Southeast Asia, these countries will be in stage 2 of the demographic transition model, rapid growth. They're going to be in the preconditions to take off. They're trying to industrialize, to develop. And this map is very important. If you can understand these core, semi-periphery, and peripheral countries, that'll really help you dominate the test in May. Thanks for watching. This is Mr. White. Make it 3, 4, 5. Make sure you click like, subscribe, and good luck on that test in May, y'all. I'm out.